and there's very little accountability. And what's happened in that court, there's a very famous law firm that does election law for the Democratic Party. And that law firm is in the courts all the time, or at the Board of Elections, fighting against Republicans or other parties. And the same law firm appears in the surrogate court on a daily basis. And the reason it does that is it's hired by the court system to handle property when there's no family representative coming forward to deal with property. It's called the public administration. And what that does is it generates millions and millions of dollars in legal fees for that law firm, which then goes out and fights the fight for the Democratic Party. It also hires appraisers, real estate lawyers, all kinds of people who deal with property all over Queens. And anyone it hires is beholden to the Democratic Party. So it's a whole intricate web that's been in the works for decades, and that can change. I want to be your surrogate judge and do it fairly. My program is to have a court that runs efficiently. When somebody dies and the family steps forward and says, we need to administer the estate, we want this will taken seriously, the court has to act quickly. It can't make people wait. And we want to cut down on delay. We want to make sure it's efficient, but also that it's not an under-the-table political operation. And I want to end that. I want to have a good, fair, and compassionate court for everybody in Queens. And this will help the entire political picture in this county. Because once it's broken up, you will not have, basically you have more competition. There's better justice, but you also have better political competition, because we're not, in effect, subsidizing the Democratic Party's attorneys and followers. So I'm on the Republican line, the conservative line. I got the common sense party's endorsement as well. My name is Stephen Weiner. I've had 40 years experience. I hope I can help. Thank you. Okay, I'll take your question. Go ahead, Steve Spear.
You explained to me, the country the other day, I heard you explain it. It's kind of arcane, because it's like the legal system. I don't think a lot of people really understand it. But the thing that struck me is that you told me that there's a lot of money in play, and a lot of that money gets flushed towards the Democrat machine, or the machine in general. And that money is used to sort of elect people, right? Or to keep the machine in power, right? And like that really struck me, that we don't know now that like we're in the swamp, right? And you're talking about the swamp. And so that's my observation. I guess my question would be like, how do you defeat this?
Okay. Well,
I speak louder.
All right. Okay, the way I can change it is this: go in there. First of all, we're not going to have it's not going to be a Democratic Party run operation anymore. I basically would go in. I can change attorneys. Okay, I can change. There's an official called the public administrator. That public administrator is a public official in charge of that. We call it unrepresented property. I can remove that person. So I have some power as surrogate to really make a change, and it can be done.
So you'll control acting personnel?
Yeah, I can. Public administrator by statute can be removed by the surrogate and installed by the surrogate county. The public administrator is at the top of that pyramid of unrepresented property. The lawyers, who are the famous law firm I was talking about, they're counsel to the public administrator, and they get legal fees on every case that the public administrator handles. Ultimately, it benefits them, and they're in a very strong position to represent the Democratic Party and all its affairs. I want to have it run just, to do a good job. Basically, not to subsidize. I'm not coming in to subsidize any party. I want to have it not subsidize any party. I want to have it people who are professional, efficient, decent, ethical attorneys who are needed, and we're going to look in high and local. The people are going to be there, and they'll come forward because they want to work. I don't know. I can say it. Just look at Surrogate. You see, there's a firm. It's called. Used to be known as Sweeney, Reich and Bowles. Is the name of the law firm. If you do a Google search for SWEENEY and Surrogate, you'll see articles about it, and different people have a lot of things to say about it. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yes, if someone just prepared a will, I say if someone just prepared a will and they didn't sign it yet, no previous will, and then they died the day before they're about to sign the will, does the court recognize that will?
No, unfortunately. What happens is that there are formalities to get a will recognized. It has to be signed in front of two witnesses, and the witnesses have to sign after that name. The only time there's any leeway is if there's somebody in a battlefield under New York law where it can be basically written up almost informally and signed, but still has to be signed even then by the soldier to be considered. That was one wartime exception. But no, that wouldn't be recognized. And it's very sad. The thing is, don't wait. Okay, this is a great point. If I can say anything that's going to help people in the public here, there's a couple of things. Don't put off doing a will until you're so ill that you can't do it. And the other thing is very important, and I was reminded of this today, but if there are couples, people who aren't married, okay, there's no inheritance recognized by the law of New York that says, well, they were together for 40 years, but they weren't married, so we're going to give them recognition. No, they're not going to get any recognition. Basically, the relatives, the blood relatives, the biological relatives inherit in that circumstance. So if there are any people you know, or if you're in a situation where you're together with somebody in a long-term relationship and haven't been married, and you want to take care of that person in terms of will or estate or whatever, there has to be some documentation. Otherwise, there is no protection, and the relatives are all too willing to come forward and say, oh, this property, we'll take the property. And you're in a position of saying, could you please do a gift or do something benevolent? Asking that in this world is a very hard thing to do. Yeah. All right, I hope that was helpful.
Any other questions? Hey, Doug.
Oh, right. That's a great one. I may go to different parts of Queens. I'd like to do it in. Let's do it in 3 parts of Queens, and maybe where could we do? Maybe right here. Thank you. Any other questions?
Just a comment. If anybody wants to help on the campaign, please let Danny know, and he'll put you in touch with his campaign committee. We do need supporters. We have the whole county. So that whole county is a lot of space, and we could use all the help that we could get. So if anybody wants to help, please let Danny know, and he will put you in touch with me.
Yeah, when you're running a campaign to clean up a court, you don't get the people running. I'll just say this: there was just a Democratic primary, okay, and you should realize what this means. The 2 candidates each raised hundreds of thousands of dollars. Have you ever heard of a race for a judicial position where there are campaigns with hundreds of thousands of dollars that were raised? Why was that? I'll just leave it to you. Obviously, there are people who think they have a financial stake. We're running a reform campaign, so we're not funded with hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's a reform effort, but anything helps. It's like, any little bit helps. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Phil Orenstein. He's the president of the Queens Village Republican Club.
Thank you, Aura. Aura should have been at the RNC convention. That's right. But if anybody saw a couple of days ago, they had Aura's friend, Madeline Brain, who was there. And she really spoke about her son, who was in Afghanistan. He was served in Afghanistan. He came back to New York and was killed on the streets of Harlem because of the bail reform laws, because of the Democrats' policies, and she really laid it on us all. She is awesome. Awesome lady. She was also at our Lincoln dinner. She was at our meeting. And we're going to bring her back here to Queens. But anyway, I wanted to say hello to everyone. Great to see everyone. Danny had invited me to this meeting last week when I was on vacation with my wife in Quantico, Virginia. So I told him, well, I don't know, I have to see my schedule. We're down in Quantico, Virginia. And we were there because my father was a Marine in World War II. And we wanted, thank you very much, God bless. My father was a Marine in the Pacific Theater, and we had ordered an engraved brick placed in his memory on the walk, the commemorative walk at the U.S. Marine Corps Museum in Quantico, Virginia, which we visited. So we learned a lot about the Marines, and we know that a Marine, once a Marine, always a Marine, right, Phil? Yeah, Semper Fi. So who else is a Marine here besides Phil? Anyone else is a Marine? Well, we met a lot of Marines, and in that area, it was just an amazing picture of patriotism in America, because everyone, the hotels, the restaurants, the grocery stores we went to, the museums we toured, everybody was kind and just went out of their way to befriend you and to be nice to you and to be cordial, and people were delightful and they were patriotic. They loved America. There were American flags all over. There were a lot of Trump flags there. And my wife and I saw a picture of what America really is and will be with Trump back in office. So that's what we saw for a week. And then we took the trip back to New York Saturday. And Saturday night at 8 o'clock, we stopped at the Blue Bay Diner. And then we saw on the TV that President Trump was shot. This was our welcome back to New York. So, we were just transfixed. We couldn't eat. We were just looking at the screen. They had Fox on at the Blue Bay Diner. So we were watching what was happening, and we were confused and just totally alarmed. But then we realized that this is God's protection of President Trump, that he just missed by a millimeter, and he was saved, and he was safe. And then we said, praise God, thank God for saving President Trump. And we realized this means that he will win the election and America will be safe again. America will be safe. It means the restoration of America. So we saw that when we came back to New York, and I realized our mission is, to bring this spirit, the same spirit of the Marines, the same spirit of patriotism back home to New York, and we will do it. So I want to invite everyone to our great patriotic barbecue on Sunday. It's our family fun day barbecue. The theme is faith, family, and freedom. And this is about fun, having a lot of fun. If you have kids, bring your kids. It's to show the community that we care. We Republicans care about our communities. We care about our friends and families and the kids and the future generations. So this is what it's all about. It's going to be Sunday at 3 o'clock at Alley Pond Park. And come and join us. You can see it in our newspaper. On the last page of our newspaper is the flyer. So please, everyone, come and join us. Stephen Weiner will be there. He'll be speaking. There'll be candidates speaking. Curtis Sliwa will be there. We're going to have musicians. There's going to be patriotic singing. There's going to be magic. There's a magic show. There's going to be food. There's going to be kosher food. It's going to be an incredible, incredible fun event. Who was there in the past years? Yeah, we had this for the last 4 or 5 years. And actually, I met Aura at a barbecue 3 years ago. And when I met Aura, she told me, remember my name. Aura means I have an aura. And Moody means I'm very moody. So we never forgot her name. And now, we're very glad that Aura is a board member of the Queens Village Republican Club. Thank you, Aura. Alavio, Aura, rah, rah, rah. And also about our newspaper, we have Stephen Weiner's article on the cover, and we want to distribute this throughout Queens. So we brought a couple of bundles here. Make sure you grab a stack on your way out. Give it out to your friends, neighbors, local stores, local laundromats, and put them in and let people read about, the Democrats' control of the legal system, the court system, and how Stephen Weiner is the answer to break the hold of the Democrat stronghold over our court system and the corruption that goes on inside, which he spoke about. So we're going to help him get elected through our newspaper. Take a stack. And also another event that we're supporting, another great event, is going to be August 9th. We're having the first Continental Congress of the American Conservative Artists. It's in Astoria, Queens, and it's at a beautiful cafe. Cara Castronova will be there, Scott Robedo, John Tobacco, Curtis, a lot of people will be there. It's going to be really great. It's August 9th in Astoria. There's a QR code. I'll leave this here. I only have one flyer, but you can see it, the details on our website, qvgop.org. This American Conservative Artists is the brainchild of our good friend Philip Kuza, who's a saxophonist. He played with Bon Jovi and other, famous bands. And he had a brainstorm to organize a Hollywood for conservatives. So that means artists, musicians, actors who share our values, not the woke left stuff which they keep spouting. We're sick and tired of that. And I love Walt Disney, but I'm not watching a single one of his movies ever again. And that includes Snow White. Yeah, Robert De Niro and all of them. Phil is, if you have any talent, I don't have any talent, but I know David has a lot of talent. He can sing, he can dance, and probably most of you have some talent. You'll meet Phil there, and you'll meet other musicians, and they're organizing the American Conservative Artists. Lawrence Black, I know, works with Phil with his Zuckery Bow Band. So, hope to see you there. Hope to see you Sunday. And God bless President Trump. God bless America. Thank you, everybody. Good to see everybody. I gotta run and plan the barbecue. A lot of work on that. Thank you, David. Good to be back.
Thank you very much.
No question.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you have space for any artists to sign up on your artist showcase if they want to show their work?
Speak to Phil Kuza about it.
Well, how do I find Phil Kuza?
I could put you in touch with him.
Okay, because I have artists that are really good that want to, conservative ones. That want to
Right
show
there,
their
stay
work.
right there, that young lady right there. Stand up, young lady.
Stand up.
Stand up, young lady.
Our next speaker is Ivan Mossop. He's going to talk about e-bikes. This is live. Good evening, fellow Republicans, once again. Good evening, fellow Republicans, once again. A little background. My name is Ivan Mossop. I'm the Republican male district leader for the 32nd Assembly District. I live in Rossdale Village. My father was a World War II veteran in the Army, also in the Pacific Theater, Phil Orenstein. I say that because the reason I'm in Rossdale Village is because my mother had veterans preference because of him. So he died back in 1969. His legacy still covered us. That being said, I do also want to say, since this is a forum of the exchange of ideas, I'm a never Trumper. I was appointed by Bob Turner back in, I think, 2015. At that time, he said, and I quote, "Whatever we do, we are not endorsing Trump." This is where I came in. And with all due respect to everyone that is supporting Trump, I cannot stand with you. That being said, I want to move on. I'm here to talk about e-scooters, e-bikes, and what have you. Anybody here come today by e-scooter or e-bike? Raise your hand if you did. Okay, all right. Now, anybody encounter an e-scooter or an e-bike in their neighborhood as they commute or what have you? Anybody had an encounter or maybe a close encounter of a weird kind with these things? I'm holding up, I have a page on Facebook called the Bedell Street Journal. Bedell is the street that borders Rossdale Village. The Bedell Street Journal has pictures of these e-scooters in all kinds of unfortunate places that they've been left or neglected. There are corporations behind these e-scooters and e-bikes. I know one is Lime, Uber, what have you, VO. You know, I'm a tax professional, and I know a little bit about incorporation and how people who want to hide their assets and what have you use corporations and what have you. So there's probably, you got to follow the money, follow the chain, and find out who really owns these corporations. But they're making money hand over fist. What they're doing is these e-scooters and e-bikes, in order to use them, you have to download an app. Everything's app these days onto your cell phone. And one scooter I read said you have 2 free trips, and then of course then you have to start paying. Well, I talked to 2 young people that were working for, I think it was Lime. I had maybe about half an hour conversation with them. And I pointed out to them all the environmental negative impacts and unintended consequences that are affecting our community and way of life, quality of life. For example, if you don't pay your e-scooter bill, then as you're riding along, all of a sudden it stops. And you can stop wherever. I'm finding these e-scooters on sidewalks where maybe an elderly person might get tripped and fall, at bus stops where you're trying to get off the bus or get on the bus and it's right there at the bus stop. Sometimes even in the street, sometimes laying on the ground. There is no rhyme or reason, no regulation, no law and order when it comes to these e-scooters and e-bikes. I talked to these people and I said, what stops, you say that you have to be 18 years old or older to use them. Well, what stops somebody who's not 18 from using them? I have seen young people get on them even when they cannot operate the electrical motor. they will get on it and start pushing it. I saw this happen today going across Guy Brewer Boulevard. So I'm here to tell you there's trouble in River City. And it's not cool, it's e-scooters. You can go to the Bedell Street Journal on Facebook page and see all the pictures I've taken of this menace to our quality of life. Thank you.
What's the website again?
Bedell, B-E-D-E-L-L. That is the name of one of the streets that Rossdale borders.
So what's the website again?
Bedell, B-E-D-E-L-L Street Journal. Thank you.
So any questions you'd like to ask?
Yes.
I have a question, but I just want to know, when I was at the news as well, and the Department of Transportation decided to lay out this great idea that we're all going to accept. The Supreme Court said no, and they decided to say no, we're just going to do it anyway. We're basically announcing that this is going to happen. So when you go to all the current incumbents, they just say, we don't care. This is just going to happen because these companies are not necessarily, they're working with the government, but it's not.
Department of Transit.
Exactly. So
And the mayor added.
what they brought up is that someone also had died as a result of one of these bikes malfunctioning. So, yeah. So, I mean, that was something that was brought up. So they said they got permission by going to libraries and talking to children, I guess, basically, that said yes. And that was it. So when they finally did make it to the community boards to just let people know that it was happening, not they were asking whether or not they wanted it in their communities, that's how that was a process by which they went in order to make it happen. So I'm not really sure about how to go about this because they started this program in the Bronx, and the Bronx is littered with them. Now we just see it
Yeah,
here.
Queens is littered with them now. And I'm living in Rossdale, but from what I'm hearing, they're all over the place. And they're not helping our communities. They're creating a havoc. Thank you. Anyone else before I step down? Yes, sir.
To reiterate what this wonderful girl just said, what you have is the community boards individually are making decisions that are in the best interest of their communities. You are having New York City, New York State government just do whatever they hand well please. You could go to bicycle lanes, you could go any number of categories that they are pulling this stunt on. And what it all comes down to is each of us here have a moral bound disposition. And I admire all of you for it. We got to straighten out this mess.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I would just like to know, why did county tell everybody not to show up to Danny Mayo's last debate? And also, why does county tell people to stay away from candidates like myself and others?
Well, you
We're
have.
never going to get
Sure.
anywhere when county specifically tells the candidates to stay away from other candidates. So I would like to hear what you have to say. Why did county tell everybody not to come to last meeting's debate?
That's not a question that I'm going to answer. You know what you have to ask, okay? Thank you very much. I'm here. Nobody told me not to come here. I came.
Thank you very much, Ivan. Our next speaker is Helen Qiu. She's running for state assembly in the 65th district in North Manhattan against Grace Lee.
Thank you. I'm Helen Qiu. I bring you a gift. I love you, Queens GOP.
Hey.
From me, Helen Qiu. I am from Manhattan, so I'm the vice president of Manhattan GOP, and I will be very happy. I feel very honored and happy that Danny invited me. I have come here several times ever since I ran for office in 2022, so I'm so happy to see you again. And this year I'm running again against Grace Lee in District 65. And Danny let me know that he wants me to share a little bit of my experience being challenged on the ballot by my opponent,
who is in the Working Family Party nominee as well as Democratic Party nominee. So my opponent is the incumbent. However, she's so unconfident about herself, she doesn't want to have a fair fight on the ballot box. So she challenged me on my Republican ticket and sued me and the Board of Elections on the Supreme Court. So in order to gain a better ground, I decided not to fight on court because it's going to drag a long time and cost a lot of money. But rather, I decided to run on the third party line, which started to collect some signatures in April 19th. So I started to collect signatures for independent candidates. So I am currently on a Reform Party independent line because I collected sufficient signatures. And I collected 1989 signatures, and the requirement was 1422. Now, you would think with that much above the requirement, my opponent would not challenge me. Wrong. She continued to challenge me and sue me to the Board of Elections. And the Board of Elections did due diligent work to verify the 637 signatures they challenged and concluded that I was over 128 above the requirement. So I was on the ballot by the judgment of Board of Elections. You would think that I will be on the ballot. Wrong again. She continued to sue me to the Board of Elections and said she is grieved. She said she's grieved for me getting on the ballot. She continued to challenge. And so she continued to challenge that I should not be on the ballot and sue me and the Board of Elections again. And this time, when they sued, they supply another, in addition to the 637, they challenge another 109 in the board, in the Supreme Court. So this time, we fought. So we fought in the Supreme Court. The judge ordered a line-by-line verification with a referee. So we did day after day after day, several days of line-by-line work. Guess what? Again, I defeated my opponent, and I am 3 signatures above the requirement. Praise the Lord. 3 is an auspicious number. Now, we don't know what's next. I don't know whether she will continue to challenge the 3 signature. If she would, I will file other active actions to counter that, because we persist. We do not back down. We do not give up. We do not surrender. So that's our spirit. We will fight and we will win. And we already won so many battles, and this one I am on the ballot, and I want to highlight 3 things. I want all the people in New York to hear this. What the Democratic Party is going to do to our city. I want to highlight 3 things in the legislation. If we do not gain a very substantial ground in legislation, in the Assembly seat and the Senate seat, we will face a great, disastrous, dangerous policies for our entire New York City. I highlight 3 policies. Number 1, my opponent, Grace Lee, supports prostitution. And they use a nice name called decriminalize sex work. But it is, in fact, just legalized prostitution. And it is already waived by Tiffany Caban in the city council. And they now pushed it in the city, state legislation. And my opponent, Grace Lee, I call her this Grace Lee. Wouldn't you agree? Because she wants prostitution. So that bill is lurking to be passed. And I want everybody to know what we have at stake. So not only cashless bail, which you already know, not only open borders, we want to know something very substantial that will affect your entire lifestyle and your neighborhood. You are going to see that right next to, if it's legalized, why not have it right next to a nursery? Why not have it right next to your little daddy shop, right? So that's number one. Number two, there is a bill drafted by Brad Hoyman, who is the notorious person that drafted cashless bail. Brad Hoyman. And he drafted another bill called Cannot Hide Your Hate Bill. Sounds great, right? You don't want people to hide their hate. No, it is a media surveillance bill. I am going to watch what you are writing at your dinner table, on social media, Facebook, social media posts, and then they are going to report. If I think you carry some kind of hate that I don't like, I will report you directly to your employer and pressure your employer to fire you. Isn't that bloody? Brad Holman and Grace Lee. And she is so proud of it. She put it on her website. That is a media surveillance bill. Worse, or maybe about the same as what you will see in North Korea. So, New Yorkers, say no to this and say no to the Democratic Party.
Absolutely.
Who knows, right? Prostitution, media surveillance. Number three. Number three is, let me check, what's the name for it? Is transgender therapy of your children without parental notification.
Thank you.
This number three is a bloody bill that California already just passed, and Gavin Newsom, the rising star in the Democrat Party, signed it in law. And guess what? Elon Musk said, you signed it, I'm out. Last straw, that's what Elon Musk said. And guess what? This wonderful New York Assembly Senator, New York State Senator, Brad Holman, posted, said, I will write it for our New York State, and you cannot stop me, Elon Musk. He forgot that his little pet friend, Grace Lee, is running against Helen Qiu. Because he is running unopposed. That's why he was so bold in pushing for something that he knew if he would have an opponent, he would dare not say a word. So that is the ugliness of the Democratic Party candidates. They are very careful what they say, but the moment you vote them in, they morphed into a monster. They go after our neighborhood to put in prostitution parlor. They will go after our job to make our employer to fire us when you express your free speech. And now they want to go after our children. And they want to let the children go transition, even 5-year-olds. Mark Levin said, oh, I'm fighting for our kindergarten to the K-12 children, our children. That's not his children. That's our children. That's our children. We love our children. But they want to take our children away for transitional therapy without notification to the parents. So I hope these three things will shock you. enough. That you are not just like, oh, cashless pay, not just that. It's more than that. It's deeper than that. It's more than open border. Honestly, open border, we really cannot do a whole lot on the legislation level. But all these three bills are going to be in Assembly and the Senate. And Juan is running for Senate. So we must not let these three bills to get on the table. And if I am elected, I will surely block it. I will expose it. I will make sure every New Yorker know about it. I'm sure New Yorkers do not want it, but now they don't know it. That's why year after year they're voting Democrats. I believe they do not want it. I ran 3 times. Many people ask me, is it your first time? It's my 3rd time. I ran in 2022. I get about 25%. Last year, I get about 32%. And this year, I hope I will be even a little bit better. With all your help. With all of your help. So I firmly believe, with God's help, with each other's help, we will let our message prevail. And people will know that we are genuine. And our policy is good for them, for our community, for our family, for our children. So let's have faith, and then let's persist in our battle, and let's work with each other and help each other. And I have a fundraiser on July 20th, a hot pot party. So I hope you will bring your family, your friends, children eat free, to come to join. It's all you can eat hot pot that you can dip some dishes in the hot pot and then burn it and eat it. It's kind of fun. I figure it's a good environment for us to get together and also raise a little bit fun for me to fight against Grace Lee, the disgrace Lee.
Helen, where is it at?
It's going to be in Chinatown area, not in Manhattan. So I hope some of you will not mind the small travel. It's not that hard from here. A E-train will take you there. And it's $100 each piece, but all you can eat. I have not decided the location. There are a couple locations that are beautiful. I will see how many people register. So I have a few stickers that I have my email address, but if you don't mind writing it down, very easy to remember. Helen, the numerical number 4, New York spelled out, Ney, AEWYORK @gmail.com. Helen for New York @gmail.com. Thank you so much. I'm so honored. Thank you, Danny.
Thank you.
Any questions for Helen? Anton?
Helen, I don't quite understand, you're such a great candidate, what happened with the Republican, how did you get screwed as a Republican one?
So basically, I'll answer this. So 2 reasons. Number 1 was, of course, Grace Lee. She burned through all her money and still did not succeed. So she just kept knocking us out. And the second reason is our Manhattan GOP. They lacked to help us. I'm actually really annoyed on that. So they discouraged us from fighting back. And then they also delayed giving important information on these ballots and all of these things. And they're just very slow, and they're always drunk, and they're drinking.
Oh my God.
They had a funeral for someone, and they went to a pub, so that's the least we can expect.
And they suck.
David Qiu.
My campaign manager here. But let me give a little context, Manhattan GOP did give me a great deal of help with the court case right now. So I want to be clear of that. But what my son mentioned is during the GOP signature collection time, they were not able to help me that much. And it just happened that it was super rainy the last 2 weeks. I don't know, maybe some of you remember, but I remember vividly. It was super rainy. There are a couple of people, they said, oh, we're going to come out to help. It was too rainy, and then they didn't help. So, but traditionally, in the past 2 years, GOP always helped with about 200 signatures. With myself, have 200. We will usually double what we need. I only need 260. So I think that was the reason that we didn't have enough help. That just highlight, in my opinion, it just highlight that I cannot run the race alone. I need the help with the party. So I'm vulnerable without the party's help. So right now, the GOP is helping me to fight this fight. And I also get help with Danny and get help with you guys. So I'm very grateful. So I think I'm not alone. So thank you for
Thank you very much.
GOP
One question, Ken.
If they sent you a lawyer to
Yeah.
fight in court,
Yes.
was it Judge Empoli?
No.
So they put all so they help us with the current law case, and so we won the current law case. The guy, despite being very drunk, he's very good at battling others in court. So that's very good. So that's basically it, and some funding.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, David. Okay, next speaker, okay, is Mr. Misbaah Mahmood. He's running in the 24th district. Going against David Weber. Mr. Mahmood.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you all. It's my pleasure to be here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon all of you. My name is Misbaah Uddin Mahmood. I am involved with community services over 35 years as an activist here in this country, in the USA. This year, I decided to run for Assembly District 24 as an assembly member position. My dear brothers and sisters, I'm running for Assembly District to bring back fairness and equality, trust and unity. This is the thing we are missing these days. Brothers and sisters, I need your support to win this election together. I would like to represent all of you from all communities, regardless of religion and ethnicity. So this is the together mission we can achieve, inshallah. God blessing. God bless you, your family. God bless America. Thank you so much. We will win together, definitely.
Any questions for Misbaah Mahmood? John.
I'm sorry, who are you running against? For what district?
Actually, it's in District 24. Assembly District 24. It's in Jamaica Hills, Jamaica States, Hollywood, those areas.
And who's the incumbent?
David Rem.
Any questions for Misbaah Mahmood? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. We have Juan Pagan, who's going to basically talk about the Benjamin Franklin's prayer request.
Go on! Woo!
When I was in 3rd grade, I was 8 years old, 1964. I had a teacher, Mrs. Cohen, who every morning in her class we did the Pledge of Allegiance, sang My Country 'Tis of Thee, and then she prayed a very short prayer. All I can remember was the last word, Amen. But I remember it was very short, so it was something like this. It was something like, bless the children, bless the school, and bless our nation. Amen. She's was a brave Jewish woman who kept prayer alive in her classroom 2 years after school prayer was banned by the Supreme Court. Somehow she knew that there is power in prayer. By the time I got to 6th grade, all we did every morning was the Pledge of Allegiance. No more my country 'tis of thee, no more prayer. By the time I got to junior high school 71, only once a week did we recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Every Friday morning during auditorium, in which every Friday morning boys had to wear white shirts and ties, and the girls had to wear white blouses. By the time I got to high school, no more Pledge of Allegiance, nothing. By the time I got to college, John Jay College of Criminal Justice, well, it's a whole different story. It should be renamed John Jay College of Liberal Leftist Social Justice. It's my alma mater, and therefore I can criticize it. It has become an extreme leftist indoctrination center. My presentation was actually 15 pages long. I cut it down to 3.5. So don't mind the gaps. The president of the Heritage Foundation, I'm a member of that organization, his message in their recent newsletter, he stated, if we do not prevail this year, 2024, whatever we do afterwards will not matter.
Absolutely.
And I believe that prayer must be a part of what we must do. And this is why we must make every sacrifice now, this year, 2024, to make 2024 our year. When our forefathers were working on our Constitution, had it not been for prayer, our Constitution may have never happened. Endless battle after endless battle. Disagreements and arguments raged as our forefathers were trying to form the Constitution. The disagreements and arguments had mounted to an impossible height, at which time Benjamin Franklin stood up and gave a speech to the Assembly, because he realized they were deadlocked. So bear with me, I'm going to read quotes from that speech. I shortened it, please listen. The following excerpts are quotes from his speech. Small progress we have made. Our different sentiments on almost every question is, methinks, a melancholy proof of the imperfection of the human understanding. We have gone back to ancient history for models of government and examined the different forms of those republics which, having been formed with the seeds of their own dissolution, now no longer exist. And we have viewed modern states all around Europe, but find none of their constitutions suitable to our circumstances. Groping, as it were, in the dark to find political truth and scarce to distinguish it when presented to us. How has it happened that we have not hitherto once thought of humbly applying to the Father of lights to illuminate our understanding? In the beginning of the war with Great Britain, when we were sensible of danger, we had daily prayer in this room for the divine protection. Our prayers were heard, and they were graciously answered. All of us who were engaged in the struggle must have observed frequent instances of a superintending providence in our favor. And have we now forgotten that powerful friend? I have lived long, sir. And the longer I live, the more convincing proofs I see of this truth, that God governs in the affairs of men. I therefore beg leave to move that henceforth prayers imploring the assistance of heaven and its blessing on our deliberations be held in this assembly every morning before we proceed to business. And that one or more of the clergy of the city be requested to officiate in that service. End of quotes. Mind you that Benjamin Franklin was no angel. He was a ladies' man. Other stuff too about him. Yet he acknowledged and honored the one from whom our unalienable rights come from, our Creator. Hence, daily prayer returned to the assembly. Deliberations continued. The deadlock had been broken. Our Constitution was formed and ratified, and is still today the solid rock foundation of our constitutional republic. I did write a prayer, but I found another prayer. I'm going to read that prayer. Now, Minister Joe Wright was asked to open the new session of the Kansas Senate. This was his prayer, and today I will make it our prayer. Father, we come before you today to ask your forgiveness and to seek your direction and guidance. We know your word says, woe to those who call evil good and good evil. But this is exactly what we have done. We have lost our spiritual equilibrium and reversed our values. We confess that we have ridiculed the absolute truth of your word and called it pluralism. We have exploited the poor and called it the lottery. We have rewarded laziness and called it welfare. We have killed our unborn and called it choice. We have shot abortionists and called it justifiable. We have neglected to discipline our children and called it building self-esteem. We have abused power and called it politics. We have coveted our neighbor's possessions and called it ambition. We have polluted the air with profanity and pornography and call it freedom of expression. We have trampled and spit upon the American flag while it burned on the ground and called it freedom of speech. We have criticized the transgender flag in the classrooms of our children's elementary schools and called it hate speech. We have ridiculed the time-honored values of our forefathers and called it enlightenment. Search us, O God, and know our hearts today. Cleanse us from every sin and set our nation free. Amen. With that, I'm just going to sing one verse to a great song. And it's like a simple little prayer, right? Oh, beautiful thought, around the waves of flame, for purple mountains majesty, above the floating plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. God bless America.
Thank you very much, Juan. Next will be a joint presentation. Phil Grillo, Jonathan Rinaldi.
Give it up.
That was an excellent one. That was amazing.
Come on now, let's give it up for Queens. Let's go.
Hey, a lot of familiar faces in here. I've gotten signatures with some of you over the years. Just came up to talk about a few things that are going on in local politics within the parties. You know, recently the Supreme Court ruled that the obstruction of an official proceeding was not feasible to charge people who were involved with January 6th. And I was one of those people. So my sentencing has been moved, and we're pending, you know, basically having it thrown out. Throughout these 3 years, I really have been working real hard for the Queens County GOP. Getting proxy votes, getting signatures, running candidates for no money. I mean, being their campaign manager, the state senate races, assembly races, and so on and so forth. And I've been knocking at those doors legitimately. Every signature I've ever gotten a candidate, any candidate that I've ever gotten a signature, it has been a legitimate signature at the door. And
tonight I stand here before you to tell you that I am done with the Queens County GOP.
Thank God.
I am done with them for the reason of, I've been killing myself for years in the northern part of Queens, the 24th Assembly District, 25th, 26th, and the 27th. I did it all for about 4 years.
Who's the chairman of the Queens GOP? What's his name?
Right now, his name is Anthony Nangiano. This has nothing to do with him.
But
So,
he's a rhino anyway.
what I have here is signatures. Next. All right. Next, I want everyone to just take a look at these signatures as they go by. These are Juan Pagan's petitions, signatures.
Here's the witness.
The witness is him. He's the candidate. Next.
I have 111 pages.
We have 111 pages of forged signatures by Juan Pagan himself.
Take a look for yourself. Look at the signatures and tell me if this is on the street or if this is written down.
What kind of signatures are they?
These are signatures to get on the ballot.
And they're forged. Are they forged?
They are all forged signatures.
Oh
Every
my
single one
God.
of them. Right out of the book, forged
These
straight.
look like it was written by one person.
I mean, we have the entire volume of Juan Pagan of forged signatures.
Wait a minute, isn't that illegal?
Well, the GOP I'm very angry about this. When I found out about this, because I was going through petitions for other reasons, and I came across this, I was stunned. Because I've been killing myself for the Queens County GOP on the northern part of Queens for years. And meanwhile, I've been thinking, hey, they're killing themselves in the southern part or right in this area. That's the 12th senatorial district. And that upset me greatly, that they've been forging signatures all these years. As a matter of fact, most recently on Lee Zeldin's campaign, you had the independent line with Andrew Giuliani was on that, in that race with Lee Zeldin for the independent line. And it was alleged that 11,000 fraudulent signatures were handed in. And they were handed in by someone, he's a Republican guy, he's an operative, he doesn't have any title allegedly, and his name is John Haggerty, okay? And this is alleged as to what went on with the independent line. So they've been forging signatures for years and years, getting voter fraud starts at the petition level. That's forgery, that's fraud, that's voter fraud, because now the candidate doesn't belong on the ballot because he didn't earn the signatures to petition to get on the ballot, and it's outrageous. Anyway, another little tidbit about Juan Pagan right here, member of the New York State Senate, 12th Senatorial District, is that he works full-time at the Board of Elections on 32 Broadway on behalf of the Queens County GOP.
What? Please notice the names that are on the petition that are forged. Please notice all of the names.
Scroll down.
No, they're right here. But I want you to know that each signature, right, is written clearly by the same person. And you can see
the woman, the young lady who was running for Assembly, she's talking about how many signatures, and she got picked off for signatures, and she had to do it again. I don't know what happened with Juan getting knocked off the ballot, okay? But there was something wrong with your petition. That was done by design. These people have made petitions for the past 40 years. All of a sudden, they don't know how to make a state senator petition. They don't know how to have the wording correctly. So, the only way to beat them is legitimately get those signatures at the door, and outdo them. That's all you can do.
That takes a lot of work.
It's all you can do. And they can't knock you off the ballot if you legitimately get those signatures at the door, and they're real signatures.
Isn't it easier just to...
So the party, go back to the so what the party does is the party runs these candidates who never got one signature. They're all forgeries, and if nobody objected to it, it didn't happen. It's not a crime. Nobody objected to his petitions. He's on the ballot. He's running in November. Each and every one. He sat at the table It's his handwriting, because it's his witness statement. Go down to the witness statement. They're all him, and he works on behalf of the Republican Party, and he is, it's.
It's a scam.
And I just want to say one thing, okay? That on here, I want everybody to look at the names on this petition. Tom Zemich, who was supposed to be the head of the 6th Congressional District, did not go out and get not a goddamn signature for anyone. And Danny Mayo and Juan Pagan are off the ballot because of this. And to make up the fact that they were not able to collect the signatures, they sat there and they wrote in each and every one of them. And whoever's name is on this petition, I don't want to call anyone's name out, but you can see your name on here. And this is what county has done to you. Implicated you in a crime of election fraud. So when they come to you and they reach out their hand and they say, hey, I got your back, let me tell you, candidates on this petition, they have implicated you and now you are complicit in voter fraud. So make sure that you pay attention to who you make allegiances with, whoever's name is on these petitions.
I would remind everyone that the chairman right now is in Minnesota of the Queens GOP. Wisconsin, excuse me. In Milwaukee.
What's he doing there?
I don't know. Maybe he should have given that opportunity to some of the district leaders that have been killing themselves for years.
No, he wants to be in a suit. He wants to be in a pretty suit.
So,
like
in my experience on campaigns, the GOP has only done one thing. Lie. Wait, until they don't want to hear about a campaign until after Labor Day. Then they want to start talking about the mailings. Raise the money for the mailings. They're not, the party, you do not need the party anymore. The party is going to do absolutely nothing for you. They may give you a robocall November 1st or something like that, a quick robocall, and that robocall only goes out to the people that you might know that are in your contact list. I know the game, I know what they do. I've been with them for quite a number of years now, and I'm no longer with them. I will not work with an organization that starts out from the beginning of committing fraud. It's fraud to do that because people like Juan Pagan or Danny Mayo worked hard at the door to get their signatures. This guy sat there, did it, and they had the gall to hand that in. And the people who bound that petition is the deputy clerk of the Queens County GOP. So, I'm just here to let you know that, we have reorganizations coming up. I'm not going away for years anymore because of January 6th.
Thank God.
That's over.
Thank God.
The Supreme Court threw that out. I'm very happy about that. And I see the same familiar faces over and over again at different Republican meetings, And if you're thinking of becoming a candidate or you're a candidate, just know this, they're not going to do anything for you. It's okay. People know how to make multi-candidate petitions. Most people go with the party because they have a multiple candidate petition like this, where you see how many, in other words, if Tom Zemich gets a signature, which he didn't get one.
Where is Tom Zemich, by the way? I haven't seen him in months.
So the signature counts for everyone down the line.
Really?
Yes, but it's very simple. If you need 350 signatures for yourself, get them for yourself. Get them for yourself. It's not that hard.
Does
It really is not that hard.
Does Stephen Weiner know that he's on 111 pages of forged signatures? I don't have to call anyone else out. But other candidates, did you know, Brandon, that you were on 111 pages
He
of
had
forged
no idea.
signatures?
Brandon, I was
Brandon's
out there
a
with
good
Brandon.
guy. Brandon
He got
works
his
his ass
signatures
off.
legitimately.
He gets this insignificantly. But look what county's done to you. Look what they've done to you.
Well, we don't know what they've done to him or not done to him, but I'm just letting you know that, well, he had no idea about this. And I'm sure that he disapproves of it. I'm not speaking for him. But I'm just here to say that people like Danny Mayo, we're the grassroots.
They do that for you, Juan?
We're the
They
grassroots.
forged signatures for you? For you to get on the ballot, Danny?
We're the grassroots. Aura's the grassroots. Stein's the grass. Everyone in this room is the grassroots because we're the one knocking on doors. We're knocking on doors. Danny's having meetings. So, these GOP events, they had 4 candidates go down for lack of signatures. Do you know how embarrassing that is? The county, Queens County, lost Juan Pagan being one of them, Danny Mayo being another one of them. But I got great news. Without the county's help, we got Jonathan Rinaldi on the ballot for the 28th Assembly District. Well, enough out of me, and I'm going to hand over the mic to Jonathan now.
Thanks a lot. I'm going to use this. But what I'm going to do here is, how do I do this? Slideshow. Okay. Now, one of the things that I learned about going to the community board meetings, going to different town halls, is that the city of yes is a big issue. Now, if this club wants to grow, if this club wants 1,000 people in this room, the city of yes and a town hall is the way to make this happen.
Absolutely.
We need, okay, I am proposing, I know that you guys are having a meeting on the town hall next week, next month, but what I'd like to do is plaster the neighborhood and do a town hall meeting from 6 to 8 before you have your club meeting, and I will plaster the neighborhood all over the place, and I will fill this place with 1,000 people and we'll get the Republican Party in Central Queens up and moving. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to show you a little bit of a trailer for the presentation that I provided, because I am not messing around. I am the only candidate in Queens that is not only on the Republican line, but I am also on the We the People line. I will be under Trump, I will be under Kennedy, and I will also be on the Truth. In this neighborhood in Forest Hills, this liberal, I'm going to be careful with my words, but in this liberal neighborhood, nobody is voting Republican. So I made sure that I am in an infrastructure where I have been on Zoom calls with the Kennedys. They're going to be involved in this town hall. They are going to come here. We will fill this place, and we will be a beacon of conservative values in the Central Queens from now in perpetuity. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a quick little rundown of my presentation so you see that I'm not messing around with this stuff and that I've done my homework. Let me just quickly bring this up here so I can do this.
Mr. Rinaldi, who is your opponent?
We're not even going to mention his name, but he's a 19-year incumbent who is writing bills, sponsoring bills like 6761, which will allow any child under 18 to have any kind of medical procedure without parental consent. These people are coming after our kids. They came after my kids, which I have many, and I will not allow this to happen. The top issue of Mayor Adams' City of Yes proposal is to change the citywide zoning rules that will run our community and the families that live here. There have been a number of town halls on the City of Yes, including Graziano, who's done about 400 of these things, and it's about time that we take the reins because we can't expect one person to do all of these town halls. I'm proposing to host the City of Yes town hall meeting and address its impacts in our communities. Okay.
What is the City of Yes?
I'll be much better at the next one, okay? Don't worry, Dave. I'm going to talk about it. Oh my God, what did I do?
How much time are you going to take, guys?
Why don't you shut your mouth and go back to Bayside?
You have been lying to
The objective of the town hall is to make the City of Yes understandable, provided...
For assaulting me.
Shut your mouth and go sit down. Shut your mouth and sit down. Nobody cares what you have to say. The objective of the town hall is to make the City of Yes understandable, provide an overview of its components, and discuss the potential impacts of the QCB 5 and 6. Constituents with informed resources will need to happen next. This is a draft preliminary presentation to show you will I be expanding upon in more detail in the town hall meeting. This is just a brief walkthrough of the format and structure. Released in September 2023, there was a series of studies and information sessions with public review beginning in April 2024. We are now here at the last stage of the approval process where it's critical we make sure our city council votes against this plan, which increase housing density, commercial activities, cost of living, taxes, and tolls. We are right here at the end of this. Right here, the City Planning Commission holds public hearings on the City of Yes, and if passed, we are in big trouble. The city plans to use zoning and land use regulations, a tool to implement their plan. Look, at the end of the day, I'm not going to go through this whole thing to bore you, but ultimately, I have a very comprehensive presentation explaining all of the aspects of the city of Yes, with their negative impacts. I've discussed their purpose, the implementation, the perceived positive impact, and the actual negative impact. The city of Yes, I have the concerns. I have all of the information based on what we need to do from the zoning, specifically for the ones that affect Community District 5 and 6, which is Forest Hills and Middle Village, the displacement risks, all of the carbon neutrality aspects, the infrastructure, the interconnection between New York City events and the city of Yes, the examples of neighborhood impacts, the city of Yes, the impact summaries, the city of Yes timelines, and we have to say no to the city of Yes. But at the end of the day, if this club wants to take it to the next level, because we have to inject some youth in this club, we have to inject some actual, we have to make sure that we represent the community and that we inject our ability to take the reins on some of the issues. So again, to the board, I would like to have a town hall for the city of Yes at the next meeting before the club meeting, and I want to hand out flyers to the entire neighborhood. I want to have some speakers, and I can fill this room with 1,000 people. Now, are you guys ready to do that? Because if we do that, that's how we're going to get our Republican candidates to win.
Sure.
Okay? So that's my presentation. And if you got any questions, let me know.
Thank you very much.
Oh, and by the way, I'm going to leave the projector so Danny, you can show your next thing, whatever you want.
Mr. Rinaldi, I would ask you to invite Mr. Graziano to the city of Yes, because he's an expert on the matter.
Listen, everybody can come. It's going to be packed, but we can't just have one person in the community.
I understand that.
And he's welcome. Anyone's welcome here. But if we do this town hall, I promise you, I've been in talks with the Democrats. I've been in talks with the Kennedy people. We are going to make a coalition of people from the entire community, and we'll fill this place with thousands of people, month after month after month, to make sure that we win these elections without fraud. Okay? At the door, on the streets.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Jonathan. We're going to talk more about that at our next club meeting there. Thank you very much. Our next speaker that we have Jim Strawhorn, followed by Kenneth Junior. Okay. So Jim, would you please come up?
Thank you, Daniel. But isn't there a speaker at the convention that we want to hear?
That'll be about 10 o'clock.
By 10 o'clock?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. This is not going to take long. All right. Stand here so I can be seen there. All right. Good evening. Does everybody recognize this? In order to form a more perfect union. Sounds familiar?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. It's in the Constitution, right? Okay, but what does it mean? In order to form a more perfect union. If something is perfect, how could something else be more perfect? Does that make sense? Can somebody explain that? Can anybody explain that? The meaning of more perfect.
Improved.
Something, huh?
Improved.
Improved?
Better.
So why didn't they just say better then, or improved? In order to form an improved union, or a better union. Why say a more perfect union? Okay, that never made any sense to me. So I did something radical. I opened up my big fat dictionary, and I've got a collection of dictionaries. One of them is bigger and fatter than the other. And by this I mean a paper printed dictionary. My biggest fattest dictionary includes about 15 definitions of perfect. Okay? One of them is marked obsolete, and it says mature. So one of the meanings of perfect is mature. Okay, so if the founders of the Constitution were writing a more mature union, that would make sense, right? Because if something was mature, it could be more mature, right? Now, think about the context. They were working on the Constitution in 1787. That was, what, 4 years after the end of the Revolutionary War. That was 1783. And then it was in 1781 that the Articles of Confederation had been drafted. At that time, the war was still in progress. Nobody knew what the end was going to be, okay? But then in 1783, the war ended, and at that instant, the Articles of Confederation kicked in. That became the governing document for the 13 states. And then by 1787, people were dissatisfied with the Articles of Confederation. And delegates were sent to Philadelphia to revise them. We all remember that, right? They were going to revise the Articles of Confederation. They got to talking about it, and they said, this is not working. We need to start over. We need to ditch the Articles of Confederation and propose a new constitution. And they spent a long time, many hours, and a lot of acrimonious discussion trying to figure out what a new constitution would look like, what it would have in it. One of the very first things in the new constitution was a list of purposes for the new constitution. There were 6 purposes there. I'm not going to list them all. But the very first one was in order to form a more, let's say, mature union. That would be more mature than the Articles of Confederation. So that's all it means. The reason I bring this up is because from time to time, in the public forum, in public discussion, we hear people talking about, we need a more perfect union, as if somehow the United States is going to be made perfect. And it is never going to be. Nothing on earth, nothing of human manufacture is ever going to be made perfect, okay? It's what they were talking about in the Constitution, I have a little one right here, is a more mature union. So whenever you hear that point brought up, just remember, an old meaning of the word perfect was mature, and that is almost certainly the one that the framers had in mind when they were writing the Constitution. One other point about the Constitution. This is something that we almost never hear. Does this sound familiar? He shall take care that the laws be faithfully executed. Does that sound familiar? Everybody, one nod. I see one nod, 2 nods, maybe 3. Okay, everybody ought to know that very well. He shall take care that the laws be faithfully executed. That's in Article 2, Section 3. That's in the list of things that the President of the United States is supposed to do when he swears an oath, when he or she swears an oath to protect and defend the Constitution. He or she is swearing to do everything that they are required to do in the Constitution, including taking care that the laws be faithfully executed. Laws being things like our immigration laws, our border laws, okay? It's just deciding to ignore some laws and say, you know, southern border, anybody who wants to come in, come in. No. That's a violation of our laws, and the president is supposed to be taking care that the laws be faithfully executed. It's right there, it's in black and white, it's in the Constitution. The presidents are supposed to be doing it. We have got to get rid of this one we've got now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do you have any questions for Jim? Okay, seeing none. And our next speaker is one of the youngest we ever had in the club. Let me introduce you to Kenneth Junior.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kenneth Junior, and I'm not a registered Republican. However, I love Donald Trump. First, he runs a wants to make it a great place for everyone. He believes in America and works hard to keep us safe and strong. Second, he wants to help people get good so families can have a nice life. My parents always tell me how important it is to work hard, and Donald Trump wants to help everyone find good jobs. Third, he cares about making sure everyone is treated fairly. He wants everyone to have a chance to do well, no matter who they are. Finally, he has a lot of energy and never gives up. He fights for what he believes in, and that's something I think is really cool. Especially he could dodge a bullet. Let's support Donald Trump because he believes in America and wants to make America great again. Also, please support my mom. She is a real Republican who will fight hard for the community. Remember, she won't fight. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Kenneth? How old are you? 8, okay. Any other questions? Okay, no question. Thank you very much, Kenneth Junior. We still have about 10 minutes left.
Can I just add something? I just wanted to add something I forgot to say. Yesterday I wrote a piece about some different meanings of the word perfect, and I put a few copies of it on the table over there, if anybody would like to read it. You know, in my understanding, the perfect is something like the words and meaning of the words that have a chain reaction in direction of the good things will happen. But the things is not going to break it because you know the chain reaction is going to keep that right direction. But so it is like visual thinking of the words and how the words make a word in the right direction. That's the philosophy of the words. That's what I think. Okay. Whatever. You can change in wrong direction, but then it will be unfair. Okay. All right. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, we still have 10 more minutes left in the meeting. Anyone else would like to make some comment? Brandon Castro, who is running in the 30th Assembly District against Stephen Raga.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everybody. Hope everyone has had a good time so far. For anyone who have not introduced myself prior to, my name is Brandon Castro. I'm a candidate for State Assembly District 30, right here in Queens. District 30 has the communities of Woodside, Mascot, and Elmhurst. And I'm just a little bit older than the young man who was speaking before. I'm 24, so just like a little bit older, right? But this is just to show that we have a future and a current generation of the GOP here, and that we have a very strong chance. We have a very good slate. You have heard from some of the other candidates earlier here today, and I'm very, very confident that this year, we flipped like around 3 seats in 2022. And this year, on an election year where everyone gets to hear our message, they get to hear the values that we stand for, and they get to see the injustices that the Democratic Party or the super majority has done here for us all. I wasn't originally planning to run. I was going to run in 2026, but I saw that there was a lot of damage being done, and this is a perfect chance for me to do outreach in some of the communities and some of the areas that we haven't really won in prior, with the younger voters, with the Hispanic voters, minority voters. That's a very strong chance that we have. The last few months, I've taken it very, very seriously. I've been out there as much as possible, day after day after day, no matter how hard it is. Like, I'm shocked that my hair stays up this whole time, despite it being like 95 outside. And I've gotten people who are open to change. People who have regularly voted Democrat, but they've seen the amount of damage that is being done. My community is filled with prostitution on our streets, quality of life going down, crime going crazy, and people are opening up to that. All you gotta do is walk under the subway station, which is where a majority of people had to go home. And they're seeing the amount of damage that is being done. Just walk over there for 5 minutes and you'll see all of the migrants hanging out all by those parks. No parent wants their child to be walking around those streets. No woman wants to be walking outside of those streets after 8 or 9 o'clock. I mean, it's just fact that we have a very, very large problem here. And it's about time that we have candidates who talk about bringing a balance of dialogue back. And so those are my campaign promises. We want to restore quality of life. Things that I feel like Democrats are stupid to not really follow that. Like, why would you want to decriminalize, quote unquote, decriminalize sex work? All that they're going to do is the same thing that they're doing with the smoke shops here. They're going to make them, like a legal form, and then they're going to open them up like crazy. What's to stop them from opening up next to a barbershop, a restaurant, a church? There's nothing stopping them. And all that they want to do is provide a legal definition for them, so then that way they can happen and it runs rampant right on our streets. I drive around there day after day. I walk around there day after day, and it's clear as day. Our children have to be exposed to that bullshit constantly. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. And I'm energized like never before. Just last week, we were inches away from a civil war happening. Not even inches, centimeters away. That was absolutely crazy. And the fact that we're living through history right now, and me as the youngest candidate running in the entire city, it's about time that we bring that change. It's about time that we show that we can work with the current generation and with the future to work with different types of candidates. I never cared if someone told me to not go here or there. We have to speak directly to people, no matter what, no matter who. That's the only way that we can bring people together, that we can restore a larger party. Because we already have such a small party here. Like, we have to work together. We have to find ways that we can encourage candidates working together, hosting events, doing some of the press conferences. We have to do everything possible so that way we can actually speak directly to the voters. More often than not, they don't even know who their current assembly member is, who their state senator is. They don't even know who the Republican opponent is. But that's about to change. We have a powerful slate. I'm doing a lot of work just online. We have over 2,000 followers. I'm posting daily. I'm speaking directly to them. We're interviewing people live out there. I'm taking it seriously, doing things that no candidate is doing or hasn't really been done before. And so, despite the fact that some of the people are saying, "Why would you want to run? You know, it's an election year. You're probably going to get smoked." Well, to tell you that, the previous election, they voted 45% in my area. They voted 42% for the person who previously ran for my seat. So it's quite rare, you know, like you don't really see those numbers too often. And if we only got that 6 more percent, we could have had a Republican assembly member. And if I were to win, I would be not only the youngest assembly member, but the only Hispanic Republican assembly member. Not including, there you go. Not including Rinaldi. So that'll be 2 of us. But assuming that Rinaldi wasn't running, I would be the only one, and I'd be the youngest one too. So this is a race that we can make a lot of damage in. And I truly, truly do believe that we're going to flip a lot of seats. With the way that the recent trends are going, with the way that Trump is rising, Biden's going down, people are extremely dissatisfied with the leadership here. And it's them to blame. They have the supermajority. They have all the assembly seats in Queens. And so it's about time that we bring that change. We speak directly to the people, not with a partisan BS, but with values that can bring us together. Quality of life, public safety, crime, better education for our students. So that way they're trained to actually contribute to our economies, and then they can boost their careers and set up the laundry list, so like a restaurant list. We have 200 items of majors and different types of degrees that students can get, and then they're broke, graduating after 4 or 6 years of college, 4 years of high school training. I don't think more is better in this case. Let's just treat people how to make an argument, how to write, skills that they can succeed to not only provide for their families, but to provide for their futures too. These are things that people can agree upon, whether you're Hispanic, Asian, white, black, and those are the things that have been working well for me, and I encourage everybody that the way that our party can move and win going forward is by working with many of the other candidates, coming together and putting a party platform that not only talks about anti-this, anti-that, but we have a vision for people to actually vote for us. So I appreciate you, Mr. Mayo. I appreciate everyone here, and I hope what I said was effective.
Thanks very much. Any questions for Brenda Castro?
Yes, Jonathan.
Brandon, you know, I love you. We've been out together. But I know County has been telling you specifically to stay away from me. Are you gonna listen, or are you gonna work with me? Because our districts are together.
Exactly.
And you know what I'd like to say is because I just want to say this one thing is that Middle Village in Glendale is the most Republican neighborhood in Queens. Why did county leave Middle Village in Glendale without a candidate? Because Tony Nunziata wants to run for Bob Holden's seat for city council. And let me tell you something. I registered for city council for District 30, so I hope that you with me, because he just put you on 111 forged petitions, Brandon. So you better go with the right people. Thank you.
That's why I brought it up earlier today, where I speak with all of the types of candidates, despite the club, despite some people telling me to not come to this, not engage with this type of people. Listen, we have a minimized party here already. Why would you want to break that up forward? I'm new here. I'm just thinking like a baby. Last year, maybe you saw me like a handful of stuff, but this is like my first time really going out there speaking to people. And I'm taking it extremely seriously. We have a minimized party. Democrats, they have the staffing, they have the funding, unions. I'm just gonna guarantee I'm working as if I'm 20 points behind, even though it's probably like a lot more closer. But you have to work every single day as if they're gonna have the people, a lot more funding, a lot more time. This is their full-time job. They get paid to basically campaign. I don't really have that privilege, but I don't care. That is not gonna stop me. But again, I don't care what they tell me to do. I don't care what anybody tells me to do. That's the only way that we can do this going forward. And I have a lot more years left. Again, youngest candidate running in the entire city. And, you know, why would you want to separate the party and the candidates that we have here? I see a couple of puppies like John Hughley, he's the brand new president of the Sunnyside GOP Club. I've been at some of their events. I've been at every single event humanly possible, almost, because it's really hard to make time. And I have to be within my area too. But you have to befriend all of the candidates, and no matter what happens, you'll still see me here. You'll still see me at some of the other events. That's the way that we win. So, hopefully that.
Thank you very much, Brandon. And a question, Jim.
Tell us again your name, your neighborhood, and what you're running for in the office.
Sure. So my name is Brandon Castro. I'm running for State Assembly. Castro.
Castro.
C-A-S-T-R-O.
Oh, let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon. Yeah, I get like a free slogan with that. So, yeah, I'm running for State Assembly, District 30. District 30 has the communities of Woodside, Maspeth, and Elmhurst. And it's one of the favorable ones that we actually have a chance to flip this year.
And what neighborhood are you from?
Woodside. Basically, Maspeth. I'm like right there. It's like right on the edge of both. So.
Any other questions for Brandon Castro? Seeing none, our last speaker for the evening before we're going to end, David Rem.
Thank you, Danny. Ladies and gentlemen, this election in 2024, November 5th, is the most compelling election of our lifetimes. If Donald Trump does not win, this country will be destroyed, completely destroyed. I was with Danny the other day in Times Square, and we were at a protest for small landlords in New York City, 1- and 2-family households, and it was disgusting to see. This gentleman here that's running told me that he owns a home, and he has one of the squatters in for over a year, not paying rent. Anyway, we were in this rally in Times Square, and there were people, single family homes that rented their basements, or 2-family homes. These are not Donald Trump people. These are young, predominantly immigrant people, came to America, the American dream. A large amount of them of the Asian persuasion, and it was disgusting to see people who own these homes, and they have these freeloading professional tenants living in this person's home for 7 years. The longest one was 7 years. 7 years, 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, 2 years. I mean, how many tens of thousands of dollars in lost rent. And when these professional tenants, squatters, leave the homes, they destroy the homes. But back to the big issue. Our president was almost assassinated. That brought it to a whole new crazy level. I love Donald Trump. And if we do not win this election, this country is destroyed. And I say it from the bottom up, not the top down. They let me speak for 2 seconds at the tenant landlord rally, and I said I have 2 effective solutions for these landlords that are stuck with these freeloading tenants. And then number 1 is when you finally get rid of them, because the eviction court is Eric Adams's court, and he's hostile towards landlords. When you finally get rid of these tenants in New York City, do not ever rent out your home to anybody. New York City is no longer a landlord-friendly place. It is 1,000% for the tenant, and it's just disgraceful. But back to the elections. The second solution that I spoke at the landlord-tenant rally was this election, vote Republican down the ticket. Every single Democrat that has been in office, from the city council to the mayor to Kathy Hochul, the governor, has destroyed this city. Vote Republican from the bottom of the ticket up to the top of the ticket. You don't even have to know anything about any of the candidates. Just vote Republican, because otherwise this city is going to be destroyed. I love this city. I'm a 60-year resident of Forest Hills, and I don't want to see my city destroyed. And the city of Yes is going to destroy Queens' residential area. So look out for the meeting that's coming up on the city of Yes. A gentleman by the name of Paul Graziano is an expert. He will tell us what we can do. I spoke to the gentleman. He told me, David, we only have 18 votes. We need 26 city councilman votes. I said, Paul, you're never going to get it. Elections have consequences. The people that voted for Kathy Hochul, Eric Adams, and every single one of the Democratic city councilmen, this is what you get. Aren't you to the point where give Republicans a chance? When we had Rudy Giuliani in the city is wonderful. And it was disgraceful. The Secret Service did not protect our president. And my message to Donald is do not trust any one of those agents that were on your detail that day. Do not ever let one of those agents that were in that field in Pennsylvania ever take care of your security. Brandon, I wish you a bunch of luck. Mr. Rinaldi over there, responsible Rinaldi, I love you. I wish you luck. And support these candidates because Jonathan made a very good point. I was running against AOC. The GOP didn't give me the nod. I'm not a disgruntled former candidate. I am going to help Tina Forte, who is the Republican candidate, try to de-seat the horrific squad member of AOC because she is just a socialist maniac. And but the GOP doesn't represent or doesn't run the real candidate. Jonathan's the real candidate. Brandon is the real candidate. But they don't back them. It would be so easy, like Jonathan said, to get signatures. For Danny Mayo, they don't back them. Danny Mayo is wonderful. Why doesn't the GOP back Danny Mayo? I just can't comprehend it. But they have their particularities and their favorites. And Tony Nunziano, the GOP chairman, is a rhino. Republican in name only. He knocked out Cara Castronovo and Josh Eisen off the ballot. 2 staunch Republican candidates with Republican values. Tony Nunziano himself was the person that put his name down there, challenging their signatures. And when you have election fraud, like Jonathan exposed here tonight, with fake signatures, Tony Nunziano, what are you doing? I'm a Republican, a real Republican. This is my president, Donald John Trump. You knock real Republicans off the ballot, and now you're sitting at the Republican National Committee? You're a clown, Tony Nunziano. Unbelievable. People, wake up. Wake up. Vote the real Republican candidates. Please, thank you very much. God bless America, and God bless our president, President Donald John Trump.
And with that note, we're going to end the meeting. So first, we had the 50-50 drawings. We have 6 consolation prizes and 1 final prize. We choose for the consolation prize. Just go to the table, pick anything you like. The first name is. All right. Steph. SPV. SPV. Who is SU? I don't know. SPV. Steve? Steve. No, well, Steve is usually SS. Okay. SPV. Okay.
Yeah, I picked the worst one. I don't know.
No problem. Eric, who did you draw?
I'll give you the number.
S. And,
Okay, let me come over to this side. And who did you pick? Oh, who's O? Oh! Oh! Please go to the table, anything you like. What? Got Martha. Oh, she left. Okay. Eric, you got a consolation prize. Okay. Let's see. Go ahead. Spear, okay, and Stein, George Stein. Okay. Oh, he left already. If you're not here, unfortunately, you cannot win. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. I need 2 more tickets to draw before I. The 50-50 tonight is $110, so that's $55. Let's see. Brendan, you haven't picked a ticket there. Let's pick the winner. Brendan drawing out who's the winner of the $55 of the 50-50.
917-376-8038.
Whose power is that? Unfortunately, you cannot be waiting. You're not here. Let's pick another. Okay. Oh, that's your number? Oh, congratulations, Delilah. You're the winner of the 50-50, $55. Okay, so right now we're going to get ready for the convention. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting at 9:38? Okay, so second by Jim Strawhorn. All in favor, says aye. Thank you very much. The meeting is officially closed. We're going to now turn on these slides and I need somebody to help me set it up. We're going to watch the Republican National Convention. Right now, it should be Eric Trump who's speaking. We're going to Kid Rock's going to sing around 10 o'clock, and Trump around 10:05.
How do I? You want to turn it off? Okay, I have it.
You wanna?
Actually, should we use your laptop to go to RNC? I don't think it's gonna last. Oh, how?
He's got a
You don't have enough power. 19%. Well, let's try. Let's at least get started. So
He's got a computer. He's gonna bring his.
That's it for today. We'll see you next time. Yep. Thank you. Thank you very much.